Hello everyone, welcome to I Command and happy Thanksgiving. And to all our non-American viewers, happy Thursday. I have a very special video for you guys today. It is another gameplay video on Vassal, but this time I am going to be playing a list that I really love, and this is a non-competitive game. This is actually a pickup game I played with Christian Wednesday afternoon, the day before Thanksgiving. We just happened to both be on Vassal at the same time and played a pickup game. And so since this wasn't a competitive game or anything, I decided to just play a fun list, a list that I really have liked a lot, but haven't been able to play in Season 6 because it doesn't have any Season 6 cards, which you need for the playtest games. And anyway, so yeah, this is a Force user list that I have been running since Season 5. That I really love, and it's based on deflection, basically deflecting damage back at the opponent if they shoot at you, which is one of the weaknesses of Force users, really, is that they're kind of slow and they're melee only, so they can get shot at before they can get close enough to attack back. So this list is concentrated around Yoda. It also has Jedi Luke, who of course has deflect. It's got Ahsoka, who has right back at you as a command card. And it has Mara Jade, who can play all of the other Force users' unique cards. And then it has Davith. Now, a lot of you might have wondered, a lot of you have said that you think Davith is not that good, even after he got updated in Season 5. And I have played a lot of Davith, and I have to beg to differ with a lot of people's opinions. I don't think he's like super powerful tier 1, or tier 0, S tier, whatever you want to say. But he has a lot of really interesting tricks that he can pull off, especially with his command card, and especially with Mara in the list to be able to play his command card when he can't. So, really love playing Davith, and I'm going to showcase this game because this game was a lot of fun. I got to do a lot of the cool tricks that I play in the list. Playing against Christian, who is playing not a weak list for sure. He's got Cara Dune, Cassian Andor, Kotun. He's got Myrn, some Alliance smugglers, and he's got Fen Cygnus. So certainly not a slouch of a list here, but it also plays right into what I want, which is a bunch of ranged attackers trying to attack my Jedi. So anyway, this is going to be a really fun log review. I'm going to go through it and replay the game and do some commentary. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what Davith is capable of doing, and Yoda. I think a lot of people are down on Yoda for some reason, and he's really good if you play him right. Alright, so starting off, I believe Christian had initiative. So now he's doing his Strike Force ability with Cassian to give Cara 2 movement points, and they both get a damage power token. And activating 3 PO here, going to focus up Cara. Also going to remember to draw his opening hand. My opening hand is okay. It consists of Knowledge and Defense, which is always great, Force Surge, which is awesome, and Intelligence Leak. You notice I don't have any... I have Rebel High Command for extra draw. I don't run R2-D2, but I have an extra source of card draw, which is Channel the Force. Now, the way that Channel the Force works, so I actually pass here, and Myrn activating, going to hide his 2... Alliance smugglers, which would be an awesome trick against something like a hunter list that's trying to attack at range, but this does not do anything to me other than make them a little scarier with being able to stun me if they attack. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the cool thing that you can do with Yoda, and I'm actually activating Gideon here. So Gideon's going to focus Ahsoka, and then he's going to push Yoda 2 spaces, and that's going to help Yoda get into position to be able to use his Force Deflection. And what I'm trying to do here is set up sort of a forward position where Yoda is protecting all of my other figures by letting them deflect damage back at the opponent if they decide to shoot at me. Which lets me move up further and not have to be so safe, because I know I can deal damage back. Usually 4 damage if they attack Jedi Luke and I have Yoda next to him. Or more if I can do like right back at you. So that would be like 6 to 7 damage against somebody if they're focused with 4 dice attacking either Ahsoka with the block token that's next to Yoda. It's pretty nasty if the opponent's not ready for it. Man, this map is just moving all over the place. Let's zoom out a little bit here for a second. Okay, so what are they saying? Oh yeah, so Yoda. So everyone who's playing Yoda, if you're not playing Channel the Force in your Force user list, you're probably playing the wrong cards. It has been officially ruled by the ISCP steering committee, heavily influenced by yours truly, that the way that Yoda's wisdom ability works, which says you may draw a card. If you do, you return a card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. Channel the Force replaces that draw, so you don't draw at all. You search your deck instead, and we've codified it that. And this is very important for precedent for any ability that says if you do. So if you do something, do X. If you don't do the thing that says if you do, then you don't do the thing that comes after if you do. So what that means is, since you don't draw with Yoda's wisdom ability, you don't have to put anything on the bottom. But you get to keep the card you searched out with Channel. So you draw with Yoda's wisdom ability, you replace the effect with Channel the Force, you take some strain, and you search out a Force user card, add it to your hand, and that's it. You're done. You don't have to put any cards back. So it's free card advantage, except that you have to take some strain, and you paid 1 point in your list for Channel the Force. So really good source of card advantage. The only real downside, so you do have to take strain, which is a downside, although Yoda has 9 health for a 4-point figure. The other problem is you have to reveal it to your opponent, so they're going to know it's coming. So it's not great to search out for like Deflect, because then your opponent knows that they're going to have to get through that accuracy debuff. But if you can search out, usually I go for Force Rush, which is what I got here because it's 0. Getting out Knowledge and Defense if you don't have it in your opening hand is super strong. Definitely worth taking 2 strain for that, so you can have it for the rest of the game. And so now I've activated Yoda and I've moved him up here with, I'm going to move Luke in front of him by that door. So we're playing on Market Sabotage, by the way. So this is the map where doors are locked, and at the end of each round, each player takes turns opening a door. And then the crates are worth 1 VP each, and they also heal each figure that's on them at the end of each round, which ends up being really good for me, especially for this list, because with Channel, I have Channel Force, I also have Intelligence Leak, so I'm taking strain from my own abilities, and then I get to heal them from the crate, so that's really nice on this map for me. So Christian has activated Kotun. He gave a Surge token to both Cara Dune and Fen Cygnus. I questioned if he wanted to do that, because Fen does not have great Surge abilities, but I thought maybe there was something he was going to be using in combination with Fen and the Surge token. So, activating Mara Jade here. Going to move her onto the crate. I think in hindsight, moving her to the right of the crate would have been better, so that she was ready to come through that right door if Christian decided to open it. But c'est la vie. So Fen activating Tactical Movement gives another friendly figure 2 movement points. Fen, another figure that I think is a little underrated. I think giving him a Surge token is not the optimal way to buff him, but if he had given him a damage token instead, because Fen doesn't have great Surge abilities, but he has a really good just baseline attack. Blue, red, green with an innate Pierce 1 is really good, and then he can take a strain to deal a damage to the target. So he basically has an innate +1 Pierce 1 on blue, red, green, and then he can also ping something else. So Fen's actually really good in Tactical Movement, very strong ability. I think he's a little underplayed or underused by people. And all right, Ahsoka activating, going to control the terminal for me. A bit awkward having to control my terminal with Ahsoka, but she's so fast, and the way that Christian's moving his figures up, I know she'll probably be able to get an attack off on somebody with 2 movement points and a Force Leap for 6. Okay, and I move Luke up here to the door. So the idea is I'm going to open this middle door, and even if Christian does take initiative from me and then attacks Luke, I should be able to ping him back with Deflection, which will deal damage equal to the number of attack dice rolled, but it's once per round. And then Luke's Deflect ability, which is just you deal 1 damage to a figure in line of sight after you get attacked with a ranged attack. All right, so Cassian gonna move up all the way up to the door here. So that tells me he's planning to open this right side door and attack me from there. And now I activate Davith, so here I play Intelligence Leak, even though he only has 3 cards in his hand. I'm just trying to see if I can get rid of either Parting Blow or Call the Vanguard from Cara Dune. Because he doesn't have any card draw, so he's only going to be drawing 2 cards at the start of the next round. And if I can stop Cara from doing Call the Vanguard or Parting Blow, like those are really big chunks of her damage output, and I thought that would be worth it. But we don't see those cards. Instead, we see Calm Disruption, Negation, and Brace for Impact. I have a lot of good 2-point cards in my list that are really, really critical to my strategy, so I decided to get rid of Calm Disrupt here and let him keep Negation and Brace for Impact. Negation might be rough if I take initiative in round 3, but I am also hoping that I'm thinking he'll probably negate my Force Rush with it anyway, so then I don't have to worry about it in round 3. So Davith takes 2 Strain from Channel the Force. Or not from Channel the Force, from Intelligence Leak, excuse me. I didn't take any Strain from Channel because I searched for Force Rush, which is a 0-point card. Alright, Cara Dune activating. I'm going to move up here in front of Fen, out to the left of 3PO. So he's kind of hanging back, doesn't want to give me any targets. I think he plays this well. Against melee lists, you really should just be hanging back. You don't want to get too close. There's no reason to get close. The whole way you beat melee lists is you hang back. You either take the objectives and wait, or you hope that they start trying to move up but can't quite get an attack off, and then you just counter hit them with everything you've got in your list. So that was the end of the round. So we're going into round 2. I got 2 VPs, and I get to heal a damage off of Davith from the Intelligence Leak because he's next to the crate. Now we do the doors. So I open the middle door to give Luke access to the map. Christian opens the right door to give Cassian shots at my figures. And then I get initiative, so no taken initiative from Christian, but he does have covering fire. So that's going to hide 2 or 3 of his troopers, and I think almost all of his units are troopers except for Cassian. Well, at least Cara, Fen, and Kotun are troopers, so he's going to hide those 3 figures. So Fen's going to be rolling a lot of surges here that he probably isn't going to be spending. Alright, so I get to activate first, so I know I'm in trouble here if I don't want his Cassian to be taking free shots at my figures. So I drew Vanish. So this card is going to be really important this game. Looks like I accidentally sent it. There we go. So Vanish is Davith Elso's card. It's a special action, and you can't suffer damage or conditions until your next activation, which is really critical. It's not till the end of the round. It's till that figure activates, the next time that figure activates, which is like a whole round cycle and a half away. And because of Mara Jade, she has Fast Learner, so she is able to play any unique figure's command card once per round. So I use Fast Learner here to play Davith's Vanish. And then the idea here is I'm going to block line of sight. So even though she's vanished, she can still block line of sight, which is really powerful. So I move her over here. So I'm blocking line of sight to Ahsoka. And the reason I really didn't want him to attack Ahsoka is because I want him to attack Yoda or Luke and take some damage. Anytime he can attack somebody that's not standing to Yoda, that's bad. So Vanish does that. So now he'd have to move all the way up 4 spaces if he wants a shot at Ahsoka, which would be very bad because then I'd pick him off with all my melee figures. So he's not going to do that. He's going to activate Cassian and going to go ahead and take a shot here at Luke, which is great because I can see him. So that's going to do, I believe it did 5. So I do have Knowledge and Defense. So I am a firm believer that you should just play Knowledge and Defense on every attack you defend against. So the earlier you get it into the discard pile, the sooner you can start redrawing it with your surges. So spends the power token here. Rolls really strong. Doesn't get any surges to get stopped by my extra surge, my extra evade on Luke's defense. Does 5 damage. And then I use Yoda's deflect and Luke's deflect. So that's 1 damage from Luke and then 3 damage from Yoda since it was 3 dice. So Cassian takes 4 damage for dealing 5 damage to Luke. Again, the power of Yoda, if you can force your opponent to only be able to attack the figures that are next to him. Alright, so I activate Luke here. Oh, I forgot to draw for Rebel High Command, and Christian lets me do it, thankfully, as we should. And then it turns out it was Son of Skywalker. So I decided to go with Luke here. I play Force Rush, which he decides to negate because that takes away an attack. And that's really good use of negation. Anytime you can negate something that will give your opponent an extra attack, like usually movement point cards, but also stuff like To the Limit, that's a really good time to use it. So instead I end up... I was considering here, I have Dying Lunge in my hand, and I have Son of Skywalker. Do I want to just sacrifice my Luke and do like 3 to 4 attacks against his more valuable figures and let my other Force users finish off Cassian since he's so close? Or should I just go for Cassian and then retreat Luke back to safety so I'm not giving up the 10 points? And I think I decided here that 3PO is enough of a nuisance, being next to all 3 of Christian's figures, really good positioning by him there, that I want to be able to draw my knowledge and defense. So I'd rather, if I'm not going to be able to redraw knowledge and defense a bunch of times with this play, I don't want to sacrifice Luke and give up 10 points. So instead, I decide I can hang out here, take a shot on the next activation, and then retreat him back. So he's going to play Brace. So again, I forgot that he had Brace, but if I had gone down there and tried to attack into like Cara Dune or Fen, it would have been Brace for impact plus an evade from distracting. And Luke has a tendency to roll not so great sometimes. So kind of hilarious. He rolls the double evades here, which means I don't get to redraw knowledge and defense. But I do enough damage that I take him down to 2 health left, which makes Force Surge a kill. So that was good. And then I play Son of Skywalker here. So the reason I do this, because a lot of times you want to, usually you would play Son of Skywalker after your opponent activates, so you're not giving away information that you're going to be activating Luke on them next again. However, I think if your opponent has any spies in their list, which Christian has Mern still as a spy, even after Cassian's dead, I think you just play out Son of Skywalker and Blaze as soon as possible so you don't get it intel leaked. Because that's even worse. If you play your activation thinking you're going to get to activate again and then they intel leak it out of your hand, well, you're really in trouble. So yeah, I play Son of Skywalker, activate Luke, and ready him. I think Christian missed that happened. So he was a little bit caught off guard when I started activating him again. But I don't know. I mean, he didn't intel leak, so it's kind of like I got the advantage of playing it after he activates. But that was not in my intention. I thought he could see in the chat log that it had been played. All right, so we've got the Bob the smuggler activating. I'm going to try and stun Luke here. He is hidden from Mern, so he's got lots of surges to spare. And that's going to stun me. And does 2 damage. Luke is able to ping Fen, though. The deflect is nice because you can ping it back to anybody in Luke's line of sight, not just the attacker. And then Bob moves back to body block for Fen, although of course all of my figures are ranged or are melee, so line of sight blocking is not super helpful for Christian in this matchup. So I go ahead and activate Luke. I could activate Yoda to clear the stun, but all I really want to do with Luke here is get him out of danger and get him start recovering on that crate. And then the whole plan here is to just cycle out my Force users, let him deal damage to one and hopefully not kill it, retreat it back, and then bring in the next one and kind of do this shuffle here. So that's what we're going to do. We put Luke there. I realize putting him on the crate is better so that way Yoda can get next to him for next round. And Christian activating 3PO. I'm going to focus up Fen. And so now I activate Yoda. So now we're using the Channel the Force trick again. So instead of drawing for wisdom, we search out Force Push. Yoda takes a damage. I actually misplayed here. I should have... I mean, it doesn't matter. I knew I could recover with the crate, so it wasn't going to matter. But if I had chosen Mara Jade, she can't take damage while she's vanished. So I could choose her, and then she would just suffer the strain but not suffer any damage. And then focusing up Davith since he is within 4 spaces. So really nice reach on that focus ability of Yoda. Even better than line of sight in this case, which is what Gideon has. And then moves over to be next to the crate and next to Luke in case Christian decides to make an offensive push. He does have a lot of movement with available. Like Finn could actually move 6 and get up here and take a shot at my Luke. He would get killed by... I mean, he wouldn't even die for it, but he would probably lose it next round. But I think staying conservative is what you want to do against these melee lists and not overextend into them. So, activated one of his Alliance Smugglers, I believe. So actually what I realized what I have here. Instead of activating Davith, I can activate Gideon. So here's the thing I should mention about Vanish. The only really real problem with Vanish, it says you cannot receive conditions, and that includes hidden and focus. So unfortunately, while Mara is vanished, I can't focus her with Yoda or Gideon. However, I can target her to be moved by Gideon's command. And what I decide to do is I move her 2 spaces to block line of sight to all of my other figures here. So now there's this impenetrable, undamageable figure that is blocking the only real way to get line of sight to my figures by Christian, and she's going to be that way for the next 2 turns, or at least this turn and the turn after, as long as I don't activate her early in the turn. So yeah, very strong. Davith is just as good at doing that. Even without Vanish, sometimes I'll do that with Davith if I have Deflect in my hand. Like that card, the 1-point card Deflection, the one that you apply -2 accuracy. Because then if they shoot at you at Davith, you're playing Deflection, and that's -4 accuracy. That's going to be tricky for them to actually hit unless they're like focused Han Solo or something, you know. Alright, so Christian just kind of consolidating his forces. Not going to play into my brick wall there. And I believe... Okay, so now with Force Push, I have a way to do some damage with Ahsoka. This is going to give him a target to shoot at with Cara Dune, but I have Dying Lunge in my hand, so I'm actually okay sacrificing Ahsoka to get 2 attacks here. To maybe kill Finn. I mean, that would be a 7 for 7 equal trade, and I'm already ahead on points, so... So, Ahsoka, focused attack. Okay, so let's talk about Ahsoka. Her Twin Blades ability, Twin Sabers, you can re-roll either all attack dice or all defense dice. This is actually one of the hardest abilities to use in the game, I think. It's just, I see people using this wrong a lot. And the way you use this ability is you have to know what her average damage is. And you have to know what it is against different defense profiles. So that's pretty tricky, but... Generally, I've mathed it out, and if you're doing less than 5 damage while you're focused against just a black die with no other modifiers, you should probably be re-rolling something. Definitely, if you're doing less than 4 damage with a focused attack, you should be re-rolling. Now, things change. Like against a white die, you actually shouldn't be re-rolling into that. You have to look at what all of her average damage profiles are, and then you have to be like, okay, this is less than the average, I should reroll. But in this case, I'm interested in drawing knowledge and defense as my primary interest here, and then dealing as much damage as I can. So in this case, I would be doing 4 damage, and I decide with a focused attack that's subpar for what I want, so I go ahead and reroll. And look at that, I get 5 damage, and I get to redraw. Actually, I think it was 6 damage here. Yeah, so I get to do 6 damage and redraw. So much better roll. So I redraw knowledge and defense. I could have done 8 damage to him, but I just really love redrawing knowledge and defense. Especially since I know I'm going to get to replay it here, and then if she kills me, I'll play Dying Lunge. So spends a token, play knowledge and defense for a pretty modest roll, 3 blocks. Kara re-rolls into a really good roll, doing I think 6 damage there. So now Christian could come up and play and use Smash here, and he could have pushed me off the crate, but he decides not to. I think he's playing a little more defensively with Kara there. Looking at it now, he's got 2 surges. I now realize with covering fire, he could have stunned Ahsoka, which would have changed things possibly. So I think he missed that. I didn't see it either, so I guess we both missed it. I would have said something if I had noticed. So that's the end of the round. So it's going to be 2 VPs for me and 1 for Christian. And now I get to recover 4 damage total off of 4 figures, which is great. So Mara Jade's still vanished, and Ahsoka's still alive. Initiative goes back to Christian here. But he does have second chance on Finn, which was kind of a bummer. I was hoping to kill Finn here. But that does certainly hurt things. So Finn attacking Ahsoka. Pierce 1 to get rid of that 1 block. And looks like he does 4 damage there. So he could have... I just realized he could have Havoc shot to do 1 more damage to Ahsoka, but that would have involved taking a strain, so I'm assuming he didn't want to do that. Okay, so now it's Ahsoka's activation. So again, just cycling these Force users in and out, doing damage, hopping back to safety. Ahsoka is especially good at that. She's just so mobile. So since Finn has retreated further back, and he's by 3PO, Kara seems like a more interesting target since she doesn't have hunker down here or distracting. So I'm going to be able to hopefully draw knowledge and defense with this attack. And then I don't have to move very far, which means I get to retreat pretty far back to my area. So attacking Kara. My mouth feels so weird when I say Kara. So here's another interesting one. 3 blocks, so I could pierce 3. I really want to draw knowledge and defense though. So I'm looking at this and I think to myself, if I make him re-roll the die, there's a 1 in 3 chance he gets 2 blocks and it ends up being a wash. If he rolls 1 block, I can surge for +2 instead of pierce 3, and then I'll do an extra damage. And if he rolls the evade, I'll still be doing the same damage. 2 damage, redraw knowledge and defense. So I decide here, basically re-rolling the die can only make the black die can only make things better, and it can't make things worse. So I tell him to re-roll the black. I get the 1 extra damage for me. Very happy. Redrawing knowledge and defense. By the way, remember guys, Rest in Peace is a card. It exists. If you don't want to see your opponent redraw knowledge and defense 6 times in a game, you can play Rest in Peace. I mean, it'll only stop them for a turn, but it'll probably stop like 2, maybe 3 replays of knowledge and defense. I've seen that happen. So 3 damage to Kara, and then 4 sleep, back to safety. No parting blow, so that's nice. If she was going to play parting blow, I was ready for that and was just decided, okay, I'll just use Dying Lunge then if she does that, but she didn't have it. I don't think Christian runs it in this list. He's only got the 1 brawler, so I think he just didn't draw his Call to Vanguard this game. Alright, so I remind him that Vanish persists through the round, so attacking Mara Jade would not be a good idea. So he instead decides to send Kara over to the crate to hide from me. Alright, Yoda, gonna do the Channel the Force trick again. And I'm grabbing Get Behind Me. And this is, again, so strong to be able to tutor these cards out. And then Get Behind Me is super strong with Vanish. Basically what you do is you keep your force, all of your figures within 3 spaces of your vanished figure, and then play Get Behind Me, and then they have to attack the vanished figure and deal 0 damage to them. And in this case, it's telegraphed, but you can do it in such a way that as long as you activate your vanished figure last, it's like there's not much they can do about it. So Alliance Smuggler are going to go and body block for Kara. Oh, and then so I focused up Luke here with Yoda, and then I move Yoda up to be next to Mara Jade, Cara Dune, Mara Jade. It's so weird how you say that. Okay, Gideon activating, gonna focus up Ahsoka, and we've got 3PO gonna focus up Kotun. All right, so now I realize that I have a nice little play here. He's blocked off access to Cara Dune from the right side of the map, but Luke can actually get 8 spaces, sneak around, and do a heroic attack on her. So this is going to be a focused heroic attack. And Luke just rolls like crazy on this attack. He does, I think, 8 damage here, which is really good for Luke. Luke tends to not roll that great, which is why a lot of people say he should have a reroll. But when he rolls hot, he rolls hot. Still didn't kill her though. Kara is a monster with 14 health. Elvis gonna activate here. I'm gonna try and stun Luke with an attack. I play Knowledge and Defense because I really don't want to get stunned. And again, I will play Knowledge and Defense any chance opportunity I get. And it does end up canceling out all of his surges and damage. And because of Deflection, Luke gets to pop Kara with another damage. So now, if he tries to attack Luke again, Kara's going to die. So again, I really love Jedi Deflection. I just love all of the bouncing back damage with Jedi. I think it's such a fun archetype that we've built into IACP for Force users. So now activating Davith. So I remember that, so I was thinking, well, I can move Mara Jade with Get Behind Me 3 spaces, but the target has to be within 3 spaces. So I put Davith out there. He's just short of being able to reach anybody for an attack. So instead I just decided to move him up just far enough so that Mara Jade can protect him with Vanish if I want that to happen. And what he could have, I think maybe this was a misplay then, because what he could have done is activated Mern, but he goes for Kotun here. And this is where I play my Get Behind Me. So this eats Kotun's focused and hidden attack. And I put Davith in a way that he couldn't really attack me from anywhere where I couldn't get Mara Jade to intercept the attack. So that is one of the great plays you can do with Vanish and Get Behind Me with Davith. And so now I get to activate Mara Jade, who is now super far forward thanks to Get Behind Me. And so I decided to just go finish off Cara Dune. I could have left her at 1 health and then tried to finish her off with a Luke Deflect. But that happens after she gets to attack and deal damage, so I thought, let's just get rid of her now and not let Christian kind of try to outplay me with her. Because the other cool thing I could have done is if Cara Dune tried to attack either Ahsoka or Mara Jade, I could use Right Back At You to ping her for 1 and kill her before she attacked. But again, there was a chance he didn't do that and he did something else that would be annoying. Also, it would give her a chance to slam. So just taking away Cara Dune's activation here felt like the right play. So that finishes off Cara Dune, leaving Christian with just Kotun and Fen. And that ends the round, I believe. So Mern playing Planning. And then Intelligence Leak, going to take away my Dying Lunge. So you can see there I drew into Deflect and right back at you. So I had lots of ways to kill Cardoon. Actually, if she had attacked any of my Jedi, I could have killed her with Deflect. But again, I would have taken damage from her attack. So I didn't really want to do that. So that's the end of the round. Going into round 3 here. I hope you're still watching because Davith has yet to make his debut this game, and he is going to do something crazy. Christian reveals he accidentally had 2 plannings in his deck, so we had him just discard it and draw another card instead. And so initiative passes back to me. No take initiative from Christian here. So Davith going to activate. I play Urgency so I can get an extra damage. I figured I didn't really need it for anything else, so I might as well get an extra damage out of Cut and Run. So that's Davith's ability where... This is from the original card too. I want to point out, Davith's card is pretty much unchanged from the FFG version, except that on his Surge for Hide, we gave him a +2 instead of a +1 damage, and we made Fell Swoop cost 1 Surge instead of 2, which is really big, in my opinion. So he's focused and hidden, as he should be. He gets hidden automatically at the start of the round. So he deals 1 damage to Kotun with Cut and Run. He attacks Kotun. He has Surge. He has a hidden Surge and then a focus. Kotun rolls the triple block. Davith doesn't care. Surge for Pierce 3, Surge for +2. So he does 6 damage to Kotun. Then Fell Swoop lets him move 2 spaces so he can move through a hostile figure without a penalty. So I move through his Elvis Smuggler to deal a damage to it because Cut and Run is limit once per figure per round. It's not once per round. And then we get to... He becomes hidden from Fell Swoop, so he attacks again. And he's got Pierce +2 and a Surge for Pierce 3, but Christian rolls the evade. 4 damage, so that kills Kotun outright. So 6-point Davith, killing 7-point figure and 1 activation. The only card he played was Urgency, but he would have gotten that kill anyway, right? Because I could have just moved up, attacked, and then Fell Swooped over Kotun to deal the damage that way. So all he needed really was a focus to kill Kotun in 1 activation. So this is why we didn't make Davith's attack profile like 3 dice or other crazy stuff we've seen people suggest, because if you play him and you focus him, as long as you are getting the surges to get Fell Swoop, you can do a ton of damage. He's like a mini Maul, basically. He's a little more finicky in that he needs his surges to go through to get that extra attack, but he can do so much damage. So after that, Christian concedes. Thank you, Christian, for playing this game. Thank you for letting me put it up on YouTube. I just really love showing off what these Force users can do. I'm really happy we got to put up some old cards. It's been a lot of Season 6 cards because people really like playing with the new stuff. That's a given. But sometimes it's fun to just go back and play some of the stuff from the last season without any of the new cards. I hope you guys enjoy that. I hope you guys maybe view Davith in a more favorable light. And have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and enjoy the holidays.